Welcome everybody. Today I'm interviewing Alison Bowles. She's a licensed mental health counselor in Manhattan, New York. That's New York, New York. She's been practicing mental health counseling for over 15 years, and she provides online counseling. She provides counseling to couples. She does relationship counseling. She specializes in helping those with anxiety and depression. She also has aspirations to helping those with chronic pain and also teaching other clinicians how to work with clients who suffer from chronic pain. So Alison, I'm so glad to have you here with us today. And let me share Alison's website. So this is her website. As you can see, the skyline of New York City. This is where you can find her. You can visit her blog page. You can see the services that she provides, find her contact information, reach out to Alison with any questions, reach out to her for services and for training. And I'm really glad that we have you here today to find out what it's been like for you to start up providing online services and what you have coming down the pike for more services. So yeah, just to start, if you could tell us a little bit about the services that you provide, that would be great.
Okay. So initially when I started my practice, I think I started part-time in about 2006. I worked for clinics before that. I actually worked out of a home office in Manhattan. And then I graduated to a second location downtown at Grand Central Terminal. As time went by, it became more and more difficult to deal with the escalating costs of maintaining the offices. And at the same time, clients' problems with travel and no-shows and friend is visiting here.
There you go. Animal-assisted therapy.
Animal-assisted therapy. My clients actually like seeing my cat, so yeah, he helps. Yeah. So, with escalating costs and then clients having difficulties getting in at times and problems with my schedule and theirs, people did start to ask me if I would do phone sessions. And I said, well, insurance doesn't pay for phone sessions. And at a certain point, and I'm not sure when I discovered this, I think I was just looking to do continuing education and I came across your course. No, it was Cigna. Cigna had sent out a flyer saying, we're looking for therapists who will do telemental health. And so that's how I knew that insurance was now covering it. Then I found your course. So, before I found your course, I was actually starting to do it on the fly, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think a lot of therapists actually do offer it without realizing that there are sort of rules and parameters under which they should be doing it. So I did start sort of doing it informally, but I kind of knew that, look, this is, I should probably know more about this. And, Cigna did want me to be certified. So that's why I took your course, or they wanted me to have a training.
Well, that's interesting. So one thing that's interesting is that your clients, even being in New York City, I mean, New York City has more transportation than like anywhere. I mean, people walk, you have the train, you have taxi, you have Uber and Lyft.
Right.
But people still had transportation issues in getting to the appointment. So can you tell me about that?
Well, so you've probably seen in the news a lot lately that New York City is having a lot of problems with its transportation system. So that's a big political issue in the city. I'm not sure how much that is known outside of the city, but our transportation system is crumbling. The infrastructure is in disrepair and the delays are significant. And the issue is that people would think, oh, in New York, you can get anywhere quickly. But actually, if you want to get, say, from where I had my home office in northern Manhattan to Queens, which is a 20-minute drive without traffic, it's actually a hour and a half to 2 hour subway ride.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So, or going from Washington Heights to my Grand Central office is a 45-minute to 1 hour commute.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
Right.
it's like 2 hours round trip then.
Exactly. So clients in Washington Heights were looking, they loved my office. You're right next door. That's what they often want, is
Right.
somebody close by. Washington Heights doesn't have a lot of private practitioners working, as it's sort of, it's an immigrant neighborhood with a lot of Medicaid clinics in it, but not a lot of private people in private practice. So with mental health parity passing and the demand for therapists increasing, but our reimbursement's not increasing, therapists can't afford to open the offices, right? So I think that's a problem in the Washington Heights area of Manhattan. And I couldn't keep my office open. I couldn't do both. So the expenses of rent at my home and rent at the office downtown, I couldn't keep them both open.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah.
And people in Washington Heights couldn't find therapists nearby, and they didn't want to travel an hour every week to go to Grand Central.
Okay.
So those clients, as I was scaling that back, I started saying, well, I can't see you at Washington Heights anymore, but would you be interested in online sessions? And pretty much all of my clients were, with the exception of maybe one.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what about the no-shows? How have you found, telehealth to help the no-shows? I know with the VA has shown through research that it helped significantly with no-shows.
It has to, yeah. I mean, I was very firm with clients about no-shows, so they would get charged, and I didn't really like charging them, but I had the financial pressure of having to pay my rent. So I would say to them, I don't want to charge you, but I have to. With the no-show rate, I would, so that said, I had a lot of clients that were very reliable, but still I was probably taking 1 or 2 payments a week that I didn't really like taking. So the no-show rate with Telemental Health is very, very low. I mean, I'm thinking maybe a client fell asleep recently. One of my clients fell asleep and missed a session, but other than that, I don't think I've had anybody miss a session.
So there's just not as much of a reason to have.
Right. And the clients sometimes understandably couldn't make it in. It wasn't like they were being irresponsible. My clients tend to be pretty respectful of the professional boundary and the issue of showing up. But, things happened, and somebody with a cold who might not feel up to going on the subway may still feel up to doing a session. Yeah.
And it's also interesting that Cigna reached out to you.
Yes.
Wanting a telemental health provider in your area, being that it's like the largest metropolitan area, right? Manhattan City area.
The thing is, rents are increasing, right? And I think the problem they're having is that they think they have enough providers. I asked them for a raise recently and they wouldn't give it to me. They told me there's 100 of you within a mile of your location. And I'm like, okay. My guess is that they're realizing that our costs are going up so high that, office rents are going through the roof. They've probably, since I've started my office in Midtown, they've doubled.
Oh, wow.
Doubled. So to sublet, because I thought maybe I'll get rid of my office and I'll just sublet a day from somebody.
Right.
I used to pay $200 a month, $250 for a full day Friday. And now people are asking that for a half day on Friday, which is a low demand day. So I think, what's happening is there's nobody in my building that even takes the insurances that I do take, which is Cigna and Blue Cross. Nobody in my suite of offices takes those insurances. And I think they can't afford to.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yep. Yeah. And then Cigna wanted you to get a certification. They wanted you to get trained.
Well, they were certainly looking for therapists who did it. So they must have realized that the demand is either here or coming.
Yeah. Interesting. They wanted the clinicians to be competent. Yep. Yeah. So what did you find helpful in getting started?
Well, the fact that I already had clients willing to do it helped, but your course helped a lot. And at first, I don't know if you'll remember this, but maybe you go through this with every batch of people you train. Most of the therapists, when you went over the HIPAA requirements and compliance, we were having heart attacks.
Yeah. The not so friendly HIPAA part of the training.
Oh my God. And I was losing sleep for a couple of months after that. Because I just thought, oh my God. I mean, because when I started checking into HIPAA compliant communications, just encrypting my email, for example. Virtru wanted $70 a month just to encrypt the email.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Zoom wanted $200 a month just to have HIPAA compliant video. Yeah. So everybody was wanting, so I just thought, how am I going to afford this? You had recommended Counsel. Yeah. And I'll give a pitch for them here right now because, again, I was overwhelmed by Counsel at first. Yeah. So I went on and then I said, oh no, I can't do this. It's too much. But then actually later, within a month or two, I thought, I think I can do this. I just have to roll it out over a period of time. So once I got past my initial panic, I thought, okay, it's September. I'm going to get Counsel. I'm going to get these people back on board. And I'm going to give myself 3 months to roll out this system. So that's what I did. So I started using it in September of last year, but I didn't fully kind of roll out using the whole system, like the billing and the invoicing. But I used it for the calendar and for getting clients to fill out forms securely. The nice thing about that website is now I don't have to worry about paper at all.
Yes, that's my favorite thing.
Right, and I'm HIPAA compliant. So I got Google G Suite to have a business associate agreement with them. I found a very inexpensive fax service that's secure, and I think with your second part of your training that I did, I learned about a text messaging service that works well. So I sort of got all that done, but that was the initial freak out. Yeah. Something that I did solve over time. And so that was really important, I think, because it's not so hard to figure out how to provide services to clients. It's not different in terms of what you would do in person. Being aware of your presentation helps. I'm still working on that because I think I told you I have chronic pain. So I actually can't sit in the same place everywhere I go. So I have to move around because it's a spine condition. So wherever I go, I'm just mindful of, in my home, mindful of the background, mindful of the lighting, because I work in 3 or 4 different locations in my home. My husband isn't here when I'm working, so privacy is not an issue. So that's been a bit of a challenge. And we talked about using a green screen during the last training, and that's something I'm going to look into, but I don't know. This looks okay.
Especially if it's portable and you're moving around. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. So how's it been helpful to your clients and especially couples? So how does it work with seeing couples, and how has it been helpful with seeing couples?
Well, I did my first couple session last weekend, actually. And initially they were resistant to the idea. And actually we had to do it because I sprained both my ankles last week. And I couldn't get into the office, literally.
Good reason.
So, but they still really needed their session. So interestingly enough, they were happy to do individual sessions online, but they weren't sure about doing couples. And I said, well, why don't we just try it? We'll just do it this one time. I expected them to get on 2 computers and do their session. Because I guess I was thinking from the standpoint of webinars and what we do in webinars. But actually, I think what they did made more sense, which is they just sat together next to each other like they would in the office and spoke to me through their one computer. And that worked just fine. It was as effective as any in-person session I've done. I was able to do the session, which this couple is in crisis. So
Yeah.
Otherwise I would have missed them. And, you know, when a couple is having problems, it's probably even more important that you don't miss sessions.
Yeah.
Because they
Yes.
often,
Yes.
right? They
Yes.
often feel that they're in crisis.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and they are
And
quite
sometimes,
often.
sometimes clients that I see, like I'll see an individual that I have go see a couples counselor with their spouse,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll miss the sessions with their
Yeah.
spouse, and I'm like it's so important that you guys go to the couples counseling.
Right.
And they'll miss, and like they'll find excuses, they'll find reasons not to go.
Yeah.
Well,
it's harder to get 3 people in a room too, versus
yeah.
2, versus just 2.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah.
You know, scheduling, you know, is a problem for couples work. And so that also makes doing online sessions that much more important for couples.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I probably would have hesitated to do it. We had scheduled all of their couple sessions in person. And I didn't think to say, well, we could do these online.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was fine. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, with the cameras now, you can do, if they have, if on their end, if they have a camera that can pan and tilt, and they're not that expensive.
Right.
Like the one that I use actually now is only $40. With like right now, you and I are using what's called Zoom.
Right.
So you can actually on your end control my camera. So like I could give you control, so you could move my camera.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like when you see couples, if you used say Zoom, you can control their camera. Like if you wanted to, according to who's speaking, if you wanted to zoom in on who's speaking or zoom out and zoom in on the person, you'd be able to. So there's different things you could do with cameras, and technology keeps improving. Yeah.
I'd like to know the name of that camera.
Yeah, well, I use this is the Logitech. It's the Logitech C920.
Okay.
And it used to be about $70, but now they have a newer one, so it went down in price. So now it's like $40.
That's great. Yeah.
It's a really good camera. Yeah, it's a very good camera.
So you just attach it to your computer with a
it just plugs
USB
in through
cable.
USB. Yeah, USB plug. Yep.
Yeah,
great.
So that's the equipment. Equipment issues I still have to resolve, but because a camera would probably make it a little bit easier with some of my challenges of having to move around the house, right, and worrying about the background being appropriate. Because since I literally almost broke both my ankles. Everything around here is a disaster area, right? Like, and so
So for someone like you, that if you're moving around the house, getting a very small cart with the monitor and the camera that wheels around the house, and if you were talking about the screen, you can get a screen that wheels around the house.
Right.
Very easily. I know a lot of people that use standing desks, and you could have.
I have a standing computer cart. So, and I mean, I'm not sure, as long as I haven't worried too much about the backgrounds, because it's not like, I mean, it's a nice place. And so, I just make sure that there's not a mess, that people aren't looking at a mess,
Right. Yeah.
Right now, because I haven't been able to pick anything up. My office is a mess. My bedroom everything is a mess. So you don't worry about things like that when you're hobbling.
Right. Yeah. And for chronic pain, so people can reach out to you for services, those that suffer from chronic pain. And in terms of licensure law in the United States, it would be those that reside in the state of New York, that are seeking services can reach out to you.
Right.
And clinicians.
Soon to be New Jersey. Soon to be New Jersey as well.
You're getting licensed in New Jersey. Great.
And I may get licensed in Pennsylvania at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That'd be helpful.
Working
and then
on that.
Clinicians throughout the country and world.
Sure.
that want to get trained in how to work with individuals that suffer from chronic pain, you'll be launching a training on that, which is very helpful. And there's definitely a need for that. So I really appreciate your time. And again, if you want to find Alison Bowles, find her on her website, which I'll share again here. This is her website, which, I'll share her contact details in the information below. Feel free to reach out to her. And again, really appreciate your time, Alison.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.